What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and I'm with my teammate Ice Boy, who has been killing it in One Piece. And today we are going to be bringing you his decklist profile of the deck that he's been dominating here recently with, and I'm just going to let him take control of it. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand it off.
All right, let's get into it. So, for the past two tournaments, going into third tomorrow, I've been running the Kaido deck. Freaking love this deck. I think it is, of the tier 1 decks, it might be the best. I don't know. I love all four, so it's hard to say. But, you know, of course, we're going to start with our leader, Kaido. The once per turn, Dawn -7, and you can trash the top, trash one of your opponent's life cards. That's just crazy broken, especially with the engine to gain Dawn in this deck. I love going through it. Just super consistent as long as you get this next card I talk about, which is the heartbeat of the deck. I run 4 Onagisha Island. You don't find this, your matches are going to be a lot harder. I make a joke every time I play with my opponents that if you don't see this card in your opening hand, you're mulling your opening hand. It's always a mulligan if you don't see this, and it's a joke, but it's also kind of true. Once per turn, you may rest the stage, and you can take a Dawn from your Dawn deck and take it out rested. It just helps ramp up your turn so much faster, so that on your next turn, you're basically gaining 3 Dawn a turn instead of just the 2. That's just great. 4 Blast Breath. It's a really strong counter, just 1. It's only 1 cost, and Dawn -1, you will usually have a rested Dawn at the end of your turn, so it doesn't feel like it costs too much, because like I said, you're gaining 3. It's plus 4,000 to a leader or one of your characters during the battle. I run 2 more event cards, 2 Thunder Bagua, whatever that's pronounced as. I really like it. It's counter, your leader or one of your characters gains plus 4,000 during the battle. Then if you have 2 or less life, add 1 Dawn from your deck and rest it. I usually try to wait to play these until I only have the 2 life, so I can get that extra effect. I do like the trigger as well. Add 1 card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So every time it comes out of my life, I always activate the trigger. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the characters. For Kurozumi, I suck with these names. Simple 2-drop 3k blocker, 1k counter. And then also 4 Black Marias. Basically the same thing, just 2k power instead of the 3. And then I also play 1 ulti for my last 2-drop. I was playing with 2, playing with 3, but I really feel like it is niche when I want to play it. It can win you the game, surprisingly enough, though. So on play 1, you may rest 1 of your Dawn, and then you add 1 Dawn card from your deck and rest it. It just helps you get that extra Dawn so that you can activate potentially Kaido's effect, you know, if you to get that last Dawn life out of the last life card out of your opponent's stack, and then you can swing for game with any of your other characters on board or Kaido with those last powering it up with those last few Dawn cards that are not trashed with the effect there. We have 4 Black Marias. I go really hard in the blockers here. It just helps with the aggro decks. Red, Green, Law, and Zoro, mostly. So I run 16 blockers, as you'll see. These were up to 12 now. I actually really like Black Maria for this Black Maria more than the other one. It's a 5k blocker, and then Dawn -1 on block. You can gain that extra power. Really helps her stay alive more often so that you can keep stalling your opponent with her blocks. Next, we have 4 ultis. Main reason is the counter plus 2,000. Having a 2,000 counter is just super strong, super counter. But occasionally, she does come up with this next card, her on-play effect, Dawn -1. Play 1 page 1 card with a cost of 4 less from your hand. I don't run the starter deck one. I run the new rare. 4 cost drop, it's 5,000. 4 cost drop, there we go. 5,000 on play once per turn, Dawn -1, and this character can attack your opponent's active characters. That's exactly why I run this card. I never really play it unless I'm playing, for example, Blue, I've used it in a blue matchup once. I swung over Sentamaru so that they'd stop spamming out the Pacifista blockers. They didn't expect that. That was really cool. And then I've also used it to swing over Nami, the one cost Nami from the starter deck that gives your Rested Dawn. It's just really good to kill those things that don't typically attack your life and that cause you trouble. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll go into the best blocker in the whole game, in my opinion. Okay, that's not true. The best blocker in this deck, 5 cost Queen. On play, draw Dawn -1. You get to draw 2, trash 1. That just helps keep the consistency up in your deck, whether you're looking for your Onagisha if you haven't found it yet, or if you're looking for your higher end event cards. It just helps you look for whatever you want. And having a 6k blocker is just super strong. A lot of people, new people, I think, don't realize, there is no negative to just swinging your leader every single turn, even if you don't attach Dawn to it. There aren't very many blockers that are played right now that can block it and live. I swing from a leader without any Dawn, and Queen can. So that's probably the best part about Queen there, as well as the draw effect. My next 4 are X-Drake. Once again, a 2000 counter. That's the biggest reason he's in this deck. I've used the on-play once, but I don't like playing 5 Dawn, 6 Dawn overall, really, it's 5 Dawn. I don't like to play 5 Dawn to drop it. It's nice, it's a 5,000 beater if you really need it. The Dawn -1, you get to make your opponent trash 1 card from their hand. It's nice in the end game if you don't want them to be able to counter out your final swings there. This is a recent change, and I'll explain later on. Something I want to test in the next few tournaments. But right now I'm running 3 of the 6-drop King. Dawn -1, KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 less, 7,000 battle power. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a good card. I was running this at 4, but I did cut it, the 4th, for something we'll see in just a moment here. I'm running 2 of the 7-drop Kings. On play, Dawn -2, KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less, and one with a cost of 2 or less. My first iteration of this build, I was running it at just the 1. Before the tournaments, I bumped it up to 2 because it really helps just clear those swarmy decks. For example, Law, Luffy, Zora. It just helps with everything. There are lots of low-cost blockers out there that this can just help blow up, or searchers. Just helps kill 2 bodies with 1, and then you have a 7,000 beat stick. This is what I cut the King for. It's because I just won this card today, actually. It is the winner Kaido. It's an 8-drop. I'm only running it as a 1 of, no counter, so it's good for discard effect for King, if you, Queen, if, to draw if you don't think you're gonna be using him. 8-drop, 9,000 beater, and end of turn add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Helps ramp up, like I said, if you're in the late game and somehow you don't have Onigisha, and it is a strong card that you can just swing into your leader over and over again. So we're going to see how that one works out. Won it, have to play it, right? We play 3 9-drop Kaido, on play Dawn -5, blow up 6 cost or less, gain Rush. This card wins you games. This card kills all sorts of blockers, 10,000 battle power. It's just super strong. This is arguably your boss monster. People might say this 3-drop, this Kaido is, which I also run 3 of, the 10-drop. But I feel like this one's to be more feared. This one, it'll come out of nowhere, blow something up, and still swing that turn. This one, very scary, don't get me wrong, but the opponent still has a turn to respond before this can attack. I run 3, I tried to run 2 for a while, felt like the 3rd had to be added because I didn't see it quite enough. 10-drop on play, Dawn -6, KO all characters other than this character. That includes your side of the field, so be careful. Whenever that does happen, I like to make sure either the turn before, if I have my blockers, I block with everything and they explode, or I swing absolutely everything on the field before I drop this, because then it just helps you get full mobility. Just clearing a red-green board or a blue board, or clearing any board in this game with 1 card, it's really, really great. And then 12,000, it's really hard to get over 12,000, especially late game. You drop this late game, how many cards do you usually have in your hand late game? I've been noticing like 3 to 5 is what my opponent's is. That's not enough cards, usually, unless they're all event counters, to stop Kaido from swinging into your leader. That's the deck profile. I really have been enjoying this deck. Excited to keep tweaking it and messing with some ratios, trying to make it more consistent. There have been a few games where I was in tight spots, where it either came down to deception or having just barely enough counters, or them deciding to not go full in on the Dawn to the swing. So that has honestly been the decision maker for a lot of games. But that's also part of the reason I like this game. There's a bit of deceit to it. I am considering these 4 cards. I want to add these 4, kind of. The reason I want to add this Jack is it has the same thing as the 5 to trash a card, but it's when attacking, Dawn -1. So a little less committal there, and you get a swing in. Here's another 2,000 counter I've been thinking about. That's the only reason I would play him, to tell you the truth. I don't love his effect. Being able to ramp up Dawn if you can't find your Onigisha is really good. That's why I think about Jack. And then Who's Who, being able to just have more dropping at lower cost, just the 3 to be able to blow up those smaller character cards that your opponents have. Just really good cards. And I'm considering maybe throwing 1 or 2 of those in there. But that's the list. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please check out my channel, Ice Boy, link in the description. Opening a bunch of cards. About to upload a One Piece video if Prem beats me to uploading, which he usually does. Look forward to continuing to play this, and shout out Team Ice Wall. Let's keep winning. See you guys in Nationals. I'm Jambrin. Who else do I... Oh, Digimeat. Thank you, Digimeat. You've been helping me with get a lot of cards I need by, just being there for me when it comes to me not being available to drive that far. Yeah, Prem's cool. Ice Boy out. Adios.